Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Depress Detroit Sports Show. I am your host, Zach, and today, episode 4, we're going to be doing a little dive into the Lions season with a little recap, early offseason predictions, and of course, what you all come here for, my opinion. And just to get us started, I would like to apologize for the sudden just disappearance of the show. The old mic I was using just took a shit, broke, and the other ones I had just were pure dog shit quality, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, I know as a fellow podcast listener, I just can't stand listening to bad quality audio. However, now we are back with a better quality mic. I'm excited to be back, and I'm ready to dive back into the depressing world of Detroit sports. Now, all that being said, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's dive right into the wonderful world of the Detroit Lions. Alright. So the first thing I want to get into at the end of this season made me realize, it awakened me to the fact that I am a Jared Goff stan. Now let me break this down. Jared Goff's stats 2022 are as follows. 4,438 yards, 6th place total NFL, right? 29 touchdowns, tied 5th in the NFL. To 7 interceptions, tied 8th in the NFL with a 65.1% completion rate, 18th overall in the NFL. Now, this list I found did have quarterbacks like Jimmy G, Matt Stafford, Andy Dalton, and quarterbacks like that due to injury or other reasons, but regardless, they didn't play a full season like Goff. Going into this season, I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't the highest Goff fan, but I wasn't the lowest either. Although, through about week 7, people that know me know I was a pretty big fan of going out and spending $200+ million on Lamar Jackson. But after that first Packers game, that really necessarily was not that pretty to watch. It was the turning point of the season. Despite going 1-6 to start the season, now 4 of those losses were one-score losses. Eagles 38-35, Vikings 24-28, Seahawks 48-45, and Dolphins 31-27. Arguably, the Lions should have won a few of these games if they did start the season 5-2. Would we still be watching the Lions play this weekend in the conference championship? I don't know. I do think this team could have most likely made it to the divisional round. I think a lot of our second half success was on the clean play of Jared Goff. He threw all 7 of his interceptions through week 9. After the first Packers game, Jared Goff did not throw another interception through the remaining 9 weeks, throwing 17 touchdowns to 1 interception with a QBR of 103.8 from weeks 9 to 18. Goff also set a Lions franchise record of 324 consecutive passes without an interception. This is also the 5th longest streak in NFL history. Goff's streak will continue into the next season with only 3 guys ahead of him. Some pretty elite company ahead of him with Aaron Rodgers, 402 consecutive passes. Tom Brady has the next 2 with 399 and 358. Finally, Derek Carr with 332. Goff, knock on wood of course, has a very good chance of surpassing Carr in week 1. Quick shout out to Brad Behrman over at SidelineReport.com, whose article I'm getting this info from. Goff averaged 34.5 pass attempts per game last season, with an extra 0.2 passes per game during the last 9 weeks of the season. That rounds out to 34.7 passes per game. According to Behrman, Goff could pass Brady's 3rd place record near the end of the first game, while Goff could be number 2 by the end of week 3, which, as long as everything goes according to plan, Goff could pass Rodgers with 4 straight spikes for number 1. Another thing about the homie Jared Goff is he doesn't get the respect he deserves. You know what? The entire team doesn't get the respect they deserve. You know, I get we're the poverty Lions, and we were the first team to go 0-16, and for a second there was a real good chance we were going to be the first to go 0-17 last season. We started off this season 1-6. But if you look during those first few weeks, the Lions had a top offense in the NFL with total points scored. You gotta give the Lions the respect they deserve. Hard Knocks should have shown the spirit of this team. Hell, Jamal Williams alone made me want to run through a goddamn brick wall for this team. And I'm a nobody. I'm just a dude who loves this team and likes to talk about them. No one's saying anything about me on the media or nationally. You know, I'm not one of these genetic superhumans who make up and are this team that I love so much. But they're talking about them like they're the same old Lions, SOL. And again, Jamal said it best after breaking Barry Sanders' record for most touchdowns in a season. You know what? Pull it up, Jamie.
I'm grateful to be able to play this game for my great-grandfather, and I'm glad that he's looking down on me, and I know I'm making him proud.
You said this ball's for him?
Yeah, this is for him. Another thing, stop playing us, man. We the Detroit Lions. We the Detroit Lions. Stop playing with us. I don't even watch TV, but I heard everybody already picked the Packers over us. Stop playing with us. That's all I got to say, man. Don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
It's all dog around this mug. And you know what? I got to get something off my chest. I got to say a very special fuck you to Jimmy Kimmel. After playing this clip of the interview, To his studio audience, Kimmel quipped, "I said the very same thing in my wedding vows. Ha 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 ha, funny joke." But Kimmel continued, "I should add that the Lions did not make the playoffs, so he doesn't have to worry about anyone playing with them at all for quite some time. And I get it, Jim. Can I call you Jim? Doesn't matter. But you haven't been relevant in how long? And I guess you are a comedian at the end of the day, so, and you are on the Late Show, and you have to be clean, but you are no Carson. It wasn't about making the playoffs, Jim. However, the Lions should have. If the Rams would have won, we would have been in. If we went 5-2 to start the season, we'd be in. If we beat the Bills, which we arguably should have, it might not have come down to hoping the Rams beat the Seahawks for us to get in. But back on track. It wasn't necessarily about making the playoffs. It was about breaking Barry Sanders' record, the best running back to ever touch a football, beating his former team who gave up on him and knocking him out of the playoffs. And let's not forget, playing for his great-grandfather who had just passed away, playing in his memory. Did you even watch the game? It was phenomenal. Kirby Joseph is now tied with Brian Urlacher for the most interceptions on Aaron Rodgers, which is 3. Rodgers has thrown 105 interceptions during his career, and only 2 players have more than 2 interceptions, and Joseph should have 4 on Rodgers, however it was called back due to a penalty. While the Lions didn't make the playoffs, sweeping the Packers, Bears, and splitting with the Vikings, and again, back to the beginning of this rant, if it was not for the one-score loss, 28-24 at the beginning of the season, we should have swept the Vikings too. The Lions have a window to take control of the NFC North, and while the Bears do have the number 1 pick, they also have a lot of problems that they have to fix too. I think all Bears fans saying they should trade Fields and draft Stroud or Young, not going to lie to you, they're just simply delusional. Fields is a good quarterback, he just has no one on that team to help him. You desperately need offensive line help. You need a true number 1 receiver. Surprise, Mapletron Chase Claypool was not it. Your defense is the worst in the league in points allowed, 4th from the bottom in yards allowed, actually pretty damn good in pass defense, but last place in sacks. And your rush defense was horrendous, bottom 1 to 2 in the league in rushing yards attempt and rushing touchdowns. I think the Bears have a while before they're going to be a true contender in the North again. As much as it pains me to say this as a Michigan State fan, I think it's time for the Vikings to replace Kirk Cousins or draft someone and have him sit behind him for a year. That doesn't change the fact that the Vikings are frauds. That was proven by their loss to the Giants in the playoffs. I will give credit to the Giants, especially for the hire of Brian Dable. He may just be the best fat guy in New York since Biggie. But they went on to get stomped by the Eagles, who just might be the team to beat. And thank God that the Bills are already out of the Super Bowl, because I don't think State Farm Stadium in Arizona has the infrastructure to handle a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl. Like, the Bills Mafia would probably destroy all the folding tables in a 40-mile radius before the game even started, and God forbid the Eagles go on to win that game. They set Philly on fire the last time they won a Super Bowl. Now, of course, it's time to dive into the Packers. Another offseason, another Aaron Rodgers trade rumor. People are saying they don't expect Rodgers to come back. But remember over the past 2 years when we've heard the same thing and saying, oh, there's no way he's coming back to Green Bay. But he always does. I'm not saying it's impossible for him to be traded or retire. I just don't know. I many times have thought we know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. And the only thing that has taught me is that you never know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Now, let's talk about Jordan Love. You draft him in the first round, you trade up to get him, and then you have him sit for 4 years? I get you wanting to learn from one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever touch the ball, but does that drive a rift at all between Love and the Packers organization? The guy who you're supposed to be the successor of in 2 years, and all of a sudden he's getting paid $50 million a year? I will say, besides of course the Lions knocking them out of the playoffs, the second best way for the Packers season to end next year would be like the Rodgers-led Jets knocking them out. Also, people saying that Rodgers to the Jets would be the end of Zach Wilson in New York, I think that's just wrong. Rodgers said before he does not want a Tom Brady-like career and that he would turn down his contract now to just retire. But he goes for New York for a year or two. Zach gets to learn from his hero and mentor. He said going into the draft that his favorite quarterback growing up was Aaron Rodgers. This just might be a dream for Wilson, getting to sit behind and absorb all the knowledge he can from Rodgers, while simultaneously Rodgers gets another chance to win another Super Bowl, ultimately leading to Wilson getting another chance of taking the reins. Let's not forget, Wilson was a second overall pick. Do you think they're going to give up on that so early for a short-term answer at quarterback? Plus, if you're the MILF Hunter himself and New York does not decide to go with you, you already have that knowledge and mechanics you learned from studying under Rodgers. And if you can go to another team, and I'm sure someone else would give you a contract to prove it deal almost, just to see if you're worth it, and you can prove it somewhere else. Alright, back to the Lions now. Again, I'm a Jared Goff stan now. I mean, you look at these stats, Statistically, he's a top 10 quarterback. And, I would be seeing all these NFL articles and these list rankings, and they never give him the respect he deserves. He's always behind guys like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, but statistically, he was better. I mean, our team might not have done as good as their teams, but statistically, he's a better quarterback. I think we trust in the offense for another season or two. Especially like the idea of drafting a quarterback maybe in the second or third and let him sit behind Goff for a year or two. Especially how well Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have been drafting studs late, like Amon-Ra, the sun god St. Brown himself in the 4th round. I believe we have a decent out with Goff, either after this season or the following, where I don't know if that's a cut or a payout, whatever it is, but it's beneficial to the team. We save some money. We let this young guy learn how to be a game manager for a year or two before maybe letting Goff walk and get paid somewhere else. Again, let's not forget, Jared Goff played in the Super Bowl, something a lot of quarterbacks cannot say. And he's only 28 right now. Assuming he keeps up this level of play, he's probably due for one more big payday. Also, quick shout out to the YouTuber Microphone. That's Mike, like Mikeerophone, Microphone. Dude makes a lot of good sports content, and someone I get a lot of inspiration for this from. One point he makes quite a lot is statistically it's better to build your team first before drafting a quarterback and do that last. Before spending all your money on a cornerstone quarterback, spend all that extra money you have right now on building up the rest of your team. Therefore, putting that rookie quarterback in the best place to succeed. Building a good defense, possibly a top 5 O-line in the NFL. Maybe a two-headed monster in the backfield. I don't know, someone like DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams. Assuming we resign him, which I think we need to. Maybe a good young core of receivers. I don't know, someone like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, DJ Chark. Possibly, if we resign him, which I am for. If not, I think we go out and sign a guy who's been around for a while to fill a veteran role. I do really like the idea of bringing Marvin Jones back, not only for the locker room presence, but he low-key had a pretty decent season last year. 46 receptions, 529 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think he'd be a great fit with Dan Campbell and Jamal Williams. I don't know how he feels about coming back to Detroit, especially since he was stuck here during the Patricia dumpster fires. If not Jones, maybe someone like Darius Slayton, Mecole Hardman, Jarvis Landry. On the topic of free agency, I do think Detroit will be somewhat of a free agent destination this year. We've got a good young team with something to prove. We just need a few key pieces and we're playoff contenders. Hell, we were playoff contenders this year. The Lions are also in 12th place for cap space this offseason with just over $15 million to spend. Ideally, we cut some players like Cap Vitae, clearing up $9.4 million in cap space, but we will take a hit of just under $6 million. Another one of the great Patricia signings. I think we focus on defense. We have a great edge threat with the combo of Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston IV. We do need another good D tackle. I do like Aleem the Dream McNeil. He's a really good block eater, but he just doesn't have like that push that you need to be a true threat at the nose tackle position. I like our safeties in Tracy Walker and Kirby Joseph. I think we do need some more corner depth, and I do hope we re-sign Amani Oruwariye. I do not know how we're going to get the money to do all this. This is like my dream scenario here. However, we do need more corner depth. I do like that corner out of Georgia. I believe it's Kaylee Ringo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Dude's a stud. He's only 20 years old. He was like a track star and set state records in high school for the 100 and 200 meter dashes. I'm not going to lie, other than Michigan State, I'm kind of out of the loop for most of the prospects for the draft this year. But overall, I'm happy with how this season went. I think it was a really good learning experience for this young team. I think we're going to come back next year, going to be even hungrier. Like I said earlier, the beatdown of the Green Bay Packers, knocking them out of the playoffs with a play being tackled Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he laterals at DeAndre Swift. I would like to put this out there, though. That was a pretty ballsy play. If you're playing for the playoffs, if the Rams won that, are you going to be that ballsy? Like, picture this. It's the very same situation, but instead Amon-Ra doesn't get the pitch out right, and maybe a Packer gets his hand in there and swats it down, and he falls on it, and all of a sudden the Packers have the ball. They control the ball, go down, get a game-winning touchdown, game over. Man, that ends your season. That hurts. But in this situation, we're already at the playoffs, nothing we can do. Fuck it, right? We ball, might as well try it. Lateral. And it worked. Now let's imagine that it's in the same situation, it doesn't work, but we're already out of the playoffs. Well, doesn't matter, you tried. Can't say you didn't try. You had fun. Would you have been that ballsy? Would Dan be that ballsy? If he's going for the playoffs, I don't know. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in to the Depressed Detroit Sports Show, the DDSS. We've got some backlogged episodes of Fatty and the Jock coming out very soon. And so look out for that in future episodes of the DDSS. Link to all my socials down below. Drop a follow and a rating if you enjoyed. And make sure you come back in the future. It's going to be the number 2 podcast in the world, baby. Everybody have a good day. And to leave you all, I want to just leave you guys with a quote from a man I've been trying to live my life more like, Marcus Aurelius. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And to this you have the power to revoke at any moment.